some big announcements coming or following SAS's global forum. Veronica Combs here with Tech Republic is with me to talk about this. And this is really interesting, Veronica, some key partnerships that SAS has been talking about here, with their plans to move forward. So talk a little bit about what you learned from being a part of this online forum.
So I got to talk with Oliver Schnabenberger, who is the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Technology Officer at SAS, and he was explaining some of these new partnerships and why they're important and how they came about. So the big news is that SAS is going to work with Microsoft to basically make Azure their preferred cloud provider. So they were saying that a year or so ago, they realized that the two companies had a lot of the same customers, they're doing some of the same things, but then there was a lot of complementary elements between the two companies as well. They had a similar vision, they had a similar corporate culture. So now they're going to move forward and integrate a lot of SAS's analytic tools into a lot of the Azure tools. So things that they've built at SAS will now be available on the Azure marketplace. And so I was asking Oliver about these partnerships, and he said that one of the really good things about it was that if Microsoft takes care of all the cloud platform details, SAS can focus on all of the analytics details and, figure out what customers want, figure out, maybe Microsoft is better at one task and SAS is better at another. And so they were really excited about the new product offerings that both companies could have going forward.
And talk a little bit about, Veronica. I thought it was interesting how teaming up in this way and these partnerships can also lead to their desire to recruit young data scientists as well.
So in addition to the big Microsoft partnership, they also announced a partnership with Handshake, which is a jobs website for college students. And, data scientists are in really high demand. There's not enough. Those jobs are always open. The postings are open really frequently, and the salaries are really good. And, as we become a more data-driven world and we collect more data from everything from streetlight sensors to our TVs, we need people to be able to analyze this data. So this Handshake partnership is a way to identify people who might be interested in the career path that SAS is interested in, which is namely data science, and expose them to new to opportunities at SAS, make sure they're on the right education path. So that was a way, not only are they thinking of these bigger business strategies with Microsoft, they're trying to build the pipeline of people who can analyze this data and build new products.
Yeah, got to have the talent there. I keep trying to tell my kids, data scientists, it's a
Yes.
great route to take, when planning for your future. The jobs are certainly there and in demand. And finally, too, I thought this was really interesting, Veronica. You mentioned a little bit about with SAS, how they are helping to respond to changes because of the coronavirus, when it comes to cities and dealing with unemployment and things like that, too.
Yeah, so just like the rest of us, everyone at SAS had to move into a work from home project or work from home situation, and they were helping their customers figure out what the new normal might look like, or what are the assumptions that we are going to base our predictions on. So no one was anticipating 13% unemployment. No one was anticipating negative economic growth in January when you made all your plans for 2020. And so Oliver was talking about how SAS is helping banks and other economic institutions figure out, well, what do our forecasts look like? Where do we place our bets, given that unemployment is at 13%, and that all these things have changed? So in addition to working with banks, that's one of SAS's biggest customer groups. They're also working with hospitals like the Cleveland Clinic and using some of this data to figure out, okay, we have this much open space and we have this many ventilators, and what's it going to look like a month from now if we implement these social distancing techniques? But what if we stop wearing masks and staying 6 feet apart? Then how do those predictions change? So the company is working with customers to have these models that are very dynamic, that you can change things very easily. They had a phrase that they use, the democratization of data analysis, which sounds a little, marketing talk. But as I talked with Oliver, I could see how these tools make it easier for business leaders to do this stuff. You don't have to have a master's in data science or a PhD to build some of these models and tweak them. And so SAS is really trying to bring the power of analytics to more companies, not just the Fortune 500, but anybody that's dealing with these dynamic situations. So working with banks, working with hospitals, working with colleges, trying to make to help people make sense of this new world that we're living in.
All right, very interesting. A lot to come out of that global forum, there for SAS, Veronica. And I know you've got a great deal of information in your article here, and much more that can be found on Tech Republic. So we hope all of you will check that out. We appreciate you watching.